My name is Avraham Roet. I was born in Holland. I am a Holocaust survivor. I want to tell you a little bit about my life before the war, in the war, and after the war. I grew up in what we call a liberal Orthodox Dutch family. That means my parents, they kept to every rite and symbol of the Jewish life at home. Outside home, we lived exactly like Dutch people. There was no difference. My parents wanted us to know how to behave in the Dutch society, so we went to a Dutch school. I have 5 sisters and brothers, and one adopted brother who was sent from Poland to Holland because his parents believed that in Holland he would be safe. And the life was very good. We went on holidays, we had everything. We played soccer, we went on bicycles, we did every sport possible. And also at school, we didn't went to school on Saturday, but the school took always care that on Saturday they would give that lessons that it won't hamper our education. Everything changed in 1940 when the Germans invaded Holland, and the invasion was very fast. It only took 5 days because many Dutch traitors helped the Germans, and within 5 days the Germans took over Holland. So the first year the Germans were very easy because they wanted the Dutch people to join the German Nazis, the German Aryans, and they thought they could convince them to go with them. They didn't succeed. The Dutch people didn't want to be a part of the German Reich, and therefore after 1 year the German Nazis started to pursue the Jews in everywhere. They took everything which we had. They took our bicycles, our radio. We were not allowed to go into shops. We couldn't go more to school. We had to go to a special Jewish school. The people who helped the Jews were the common civilians, the plain people. There were never very many poor people. The rich people, the high society never took care of any Jews. That is one reason why the Nazis were so successful in sending the Jews to concentration camps. As you know, 85% of the Dutch Jews were gassed in Auschwitz and Sobibor. One of the strange things for me to be here in Vienna, and Vienna has changed like I have changed. It's a complete different picture today. But the head of the Nazis in Holland, who were responsible for the pursuit of the Jews, were from Austria. I went to school, to the Jewish school. In a parallel class to me studied Anne Frank. I do not remember her, I must say, but we were together in one place, in one school. And also she lived on a canal and we lived on a canal. But she was arrested, and that's one of the things I have to mention when I'm here, by an Austrian SS who took her from her hiding place to Westerbork and to her death. My 2 sisters didn't want to go into hiding because they were Orthodox and they didn't want to go to non-Jewish family, but also very much, it's not mentioned much today, but because all of us know what is Me Too. And they didn't want to go to family where they didn't know what would be happening. They were 16 and 18 years old. So in a special razzia from the Germans, they were caught together with my grandfather, who was head of the Jewish community in Holland, and they sent to Auschwitz. So there was no reason for us not to go into hiding, and my father had connections with the Dutch underground. 2 of my brothers, the youngest one, the eldest one, went into hiding with very Christian people, very poor people. Most of them were treated extremely well, and they said they are also today recognized by Yad Vashem, and so they were very good families. My third brother was less fortunate. He stayed with one of the biggest black marketeers in Holland, and he thought he could take my brother and another child from 3 years in order to tell after the war I was in the black market because I did hide Jews. You know, in Holland, I don't know if you have been in Amsterdam, but they have very open windows. And I was taken from one place to another, but the neighbors always knew what was going on with the next neighbors. So after a week or two, they came to them and said, you have a strange child in your home, and why do you have a child, and is it a Jew or is it something else? So they got afraid, so I had constantly to change addresses till at the last 4 months of the war, 5 months, I came to a very poor Catholic farmer. There was a Catholic pastor in that village who was like a sect, you know. He told the farmers that you must keep a Jewish child and you must not bring him to church. And the people were amazed because to take a child they would take, but not to bring him to church was for them amazing. But that's what saved my life. And they were a very poor family. I mean, they had 2, 3 cows and some chickens and 2 or 3 swines, that's all. But that is the way I was saved. My parents were saved because they were hidden on a very small room on the rooftop of Polish coal workers who worked in Holland in the coal mines. And they paid them a lot of money, but they stayed with them 1 year, but they were saved. So finally, my parents and my 3 brothers and myself got together after the war. Virtually all my family were murdered in Auschwitz and Sobibor, some in Bergen-Belsen, and they were, so my aunts, my uncles, my family, the whole family virtually. There were only 2, 3 families who were saved during the war. All the rest were murdered. As I said, it was a very difficult time. My sister, my younger sister, lived during the liberation of Auschwitz, and she lived still 6 weeks, and then she died from, we think, from typhus. The Dutch government never did anything to help anybody in the concentration camps, not during the war, not after the war, and also the treatment of the refugees who came back from the concentration camps and from hiding didn't get any, had big problems to get their properties back, to get everything back. I decided not to stay in Holland because I thought that Holland had not saved me during the war and couldn't save me in the future. So I went in '46 to Israel. My fest today is in the state of Israel, and my fest is living among Jews. One of my happiest days in life, maybe my happiest day in life, when I came after the war and I landed in Haifa, you know, in the north of Israel, and suddenly I felt free. I felt under my own people, I felt free from any, you know, I was free. I tell you, it's what later in life I have learned, any Holocaust survivor has a trauma. In one way or another, it stays with you your whole life. And this trauma is something that you cannot imagine. If you go on the street, you can get caught, you get killed, everything. So the trauma from a Holocaust survivor. And the knowledge that 6 million Jews were murdered makes it really a thing you have to live with your whole life. And we try also to teach and to help our second generation to understand what we went through, but we don't want them to be a part of the Holocaust. We want them to remember and to recognize the Holocaust. Today, I think the most important message, and that's the reason I came here, there is no other reason, is to tell the people to remember and not to forget what happened in the Shoah. There is nothing like the Shoah in the history of mankind, and I don't believe it will ever be again.